All right. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this webinar on how to write a standout personal statement. I'm your host, Ahmed Hassan, and I'm the Diversity Program Coordinator at the Graduate School. I would like to talk about the reason why I do the work that I do and why it's personal to me. I am a first-generation college student and the first person in my family to earn a graduate degree. I understand the difficulties of navigating higher education, especially the graduate admission process. As a educational professional now, I've dedicated my time and efforts to make this process as seamless as possible. And I believe offering a webinar series like Belong at OSU will help address some of the barriers that some of you may face with the admission process. Just a few things before we begin the session. In response to the current health crisis and its impact on our campus this fall, Ohio State has shifted our graduate student recruitment strategy to virtual webinars. This series is designed to guide you from finish from the start and finish line through all the facets of graduate application process. Each session will be recorded and posted on the graduate school website approximately a week after the live session date. If you have any technical difficulties during the webinar, we suggest that you leave the webinar and rejoin it through the link that was sent to you via email earlier today. We also recommend shutting down other programs during this session as they will slow down the video and audio. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit your questions using the Q&A tab. And if you have any comments, please share them in the chat box. And lastly, please take a moment to fill out the survey that will pop up at the end of the session so that we can make every effort to improve the quality of this series. And we welcome and appreciate your feedback. Now, I would like to introduce today's facilitator, Alyssa Chrisman, a PhD candidate in teaching and learning, who is also an assistant coordinator, tax ed programming at the Writing Center. Welcome, Alyssa.
Hi, thank you, Ahmed. That was perfect timing because my 4 dogs just got done howling along with the weekly tornado sirens. So they're quiet now, thankfully. Hi, like Ahmad said, I am Alyssa Chrisman. I am a grad student at OSU, and I will be leading our workshop today on how to write a unique and effective personal statement. Presented. Okay, so I work at the Writing Center and I have for a long time now, and personal statements are one of the most common appointment types that we have. Personal statements are a really important part of applying to graduate school, and they can be kind of elusive because oftentimes there's not much guidance with them and they can kind of stress students out. So I'm hoping that this presentation will give you an opportunity to understand personal statements a little bit better. And we're going to actually do a worksheet together today that I will share with you that will help you as you write your personal statements, and it'll give you some like brainstorming ideas. So first I'm going to introduce the Writing Center, and then I'm going to talk about what is a personal statement. I'm going to talk about why do personal statements matter, and then we're going to spend a lot of time talking about how to write a personal statement. So the Writing Center at OSU is a great resource for students. So we work with students on any type of writing that they're working on. We get a lot of like people working on papers for class. We work with a lot of graduate students on their projects. We get a lot of people who are applying for graduate school and helping with their applications. And so it's just a great resource. This year we are 100% online. So we have drop-off appointments and then also live chat. So I'll talk maybe a little bit more about our services at the end in case you're interested. But the Writing Center is a great resource. So once you start writing that personal statement, if you want personalized one-on-one feedback on it, I recommend you reach out. So for what is a personal statement, there are generally 2 types of personal statements. So there's the general and comprehensive personal statement, And then there's also sometimes you'll see a response to very specific questions. So when we have a general and comprehensive personal statement, it'll usually just give you like a 1-sentence prompt. Write an essay that explains why you want to be a doctor or why you're a good fit for this graduate program. Usually they will give you parameters, so word length basically. Sometimes it's really short. Sometimes, I think when I applied to OSU, mine was like 4 pages, single spaced. So that one was a longer one for sure. So it kind of just depends on the school. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to navigate those nuances later. But basically, these personal statements, they enable you to take a wide range of approaches because you don't have a specific question. Yet it's important to recognize that responses should still be somewhat formulaic. So oftentimes, like, we get students and they will try to do something super creative with their personal statement, and with the like intent of being unique, which is important, but you want to be unique in your experiences, not necessarily how you write the personal statement, because if you don't follow the kind of like standard um, genre requirements of the personal statement, it looks like you just don't know what you're doing, which is unfortunate, right? Like, as a writer, I think creativity is important, and I value it, but just for personal statements, don't try to get too creative, even when you have a general prompt. Okay. So there's also very specific questions. And so sometimes they'll have you answer specific questions instead of a broad one. Once again, these will usually have parameters attached to them in regard to word limit length. And for this type of statement, make sure you're answering those questions specifically and want to use concrete examples to support the claims you make. So this is true for the other kind too. Whenever you make a claim, you want to use a concrete example. So instead of saying, I am a good fit for this graduate school because I had a leadership position in a pre-med school group in undergrad. That's something they can probably see on your resume, which you're submitting also. You want to tell a story from your time as a leader or whatever activity it is that you are referencing. A story that really shows who you are as a person and like emphasizes the quality that you have. We'll talk more about it as we move forward. So here are some questions that you might want to consider as you are writing your personal statement. And the document that I'm going to share with you all in a little bit will have places for you to like kind of start to brainstorm some of these things. So one is, what makes you unique? This is, to me, the hardest question, right? It's really hard to talk about ourselves, and that's why I think personal statements can be so difficult, because you want to kind of navigate not sounding like full of yourself, I guess, but also making sure you give yourself enough credit. So think about what makes you unique in comparison to your peers. And that might be related to the skills or personal characteristics that you have that will enable you to be successful in the field. And once again, like I said earlier, making sure you give specific examples that will demonstrate these skills and characteristics. I'll probably repeat this multiple more times because the biggest thing we see at the Writing Center is people whose personal statements are just kind of like prose versions of their resume. If the reader can see it somewhere else on your application, like your resume or your transcript, you should only be repeating it in your personal statement if it's attached to a specific example or like a story. You want your personal statement to help the other materials kind of like show you as a person, who you are like in total. You don't want it to be repetitive. one thing to think about is what has led you to your interest in this field. This is another really, really tough one. You want to avoid cliches. Like so many people say like, oh, I want to be a doctor because I just like helping people, right? Which is cool. And I'm sure it's probably true. But it is a bit of a cliche in the field. I'm going to share in a little bit some feedback from people who are on committees that read personal statements and do graduate admissions, and they'll talk about this too. Like the cliches are just kind of, they don't make you unique, basically. What has led you to your interest in this particular school? This is a really important one, and I'll repeat this probably several times as well. So you want to be as specific as possible in regard to the school. So literally what I did when I applied to Ohio State in their teaching and learning program is I went to their website and I read all about the program. I read like their mission and what they value and the classes they offer, etc. And then I made sure to use language in my personal statement that directly matched to their website. And this isn't plagiarism, okay? So I know a lot of people are scared of plagiarism and it's a serious deal. So it's not like you're copying a paragraph and saying like, this mission is important to me and then copying it, but like there's little phrases they might include like equity or I don't know, just whatever phrases that are shown in like in the department's website, including those in your personal statement and like giving examples of how you fit with them. Not only just shows that you're a good fit for their program and their values, but it also shows that you care enough about this program to do a specific personal statement for them. So many times, and I get it because like you're probably applying to more than one school. They probably have similar personal statement requirements, but also like with slightly nuanced differences and like word length or whatever. And it's a lot of work, and it can be like very tempting to just do like a standard personal statement. And some things can be standardized, like when you talk about your experiences, but you want to make sure that each personal statement has specific references to the program you're applying to, because it'll show them that you have done your research and that you care about that program specifically. Yes, okay. Make sure too that you don't like accidentally forget to like change the school's name or something. My husband applied for a job once. When his cover letter, he forgot to change the company's name. Unsurprisingly, did not get an interview or get that job. So you want to be careful with that. What are your long-term career goals? You might also consider your short-term career goals. One of the things that I'm going to show you in a little bit, the guy says like, we don't care so much about what you're going to do because we help decide that in the program, but we want to know like where you've been. So this isn't something you have to go in too much detail about unless it's like a specific question that they ask you. But it is something to consider. What are your long-term career goals? Why will this program help you get there? This next one is very important as well. So, do you need to explain any inconsistencies in your academic record? So that might be a low GPA during certain semesters. It might be that you had to take time off. I had a student recently who they had taken like a decade off to just work between undergrad and then applying to grad school. And they were like, my GPA wasn't so good in undergrad, but like I'm a completely different person now. What do I do about that? And they were kind of telling me they were just gonna, hope they didn't notice. And I said, that's not really great because they are going to notice. They're trained to look for these things. So it's best to just be upfront and to say, hey, I took time off for whatever reason, or my GPA was lower this semester because of extenuating circumstances. You can go into detail or not. But as you can see, I improved my GPA, or as you can see, I scored really high on whatever test, which a lot of schools aren't requiring. What is it called? I don't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. The grad school test. So look into that before you pay for it. A lot of schools have stopped requiring that, but yeah, so please explain the consistencies if you have space. If you're doing a graduate, if you're doing a personal statement and it's like the specific questions that you have to answer, and this doesn't make sense to include there, then don't include it. But if you're doing a general statement and you have something to say about that, it's better to just be upfront. This next question too is really important. Have you overcome any obstacles to get where you are today? Grad school is really, really great, and I personally love it, but also it's hard. And they want to know that you will be able to like persevere through the challenges of grad school. So if you can tie any of your stories or examples to like overcoming a hardship or a challenge, it doesn't have to be something super serious, right? It doesn't have to be a tragic story. It can just be like maybe in a extracurricular group, like there was some sort of challenge you had to face. I don't know. We all, I'm sure, have obstacles related to COVID right now and the way the world has changed. So I'm sure everybody has gone through some sort of challenge. So try to tailor one of your examples to that, because that's a really important skill for graduate students. And then to sum it up, what have you achieved academically, personally, and professionally that demonstrates that you will be a good candidate for the program to which you're applying? So I have a few tips. Some of them I've kind of gone through, and I'm going to share this link in a little bit. But if you want to find it now, if you go to go.osu.edu/personal statements, it will link you to this document from the Writing Center. And this is a great, just like really thorough resource about personal statements you can refer back to. So once again, that's go.osu.edu/personal statements. So if you want to open it up with me, you can, or you can just follow along with my screen. So tip number one, I kind of already talked about, which is that you want to tailor your personal statement to each school. Another thing with that is, depending on the kind of field that you're going into, it might be worthwhile for you to research the faculty, especially if you're applying for a program that's like very research heavy, where you'll be required to work with faculty members on their research. Trying to figure out who you're interested in. Maybe you can talk to that person, like send them an email or whatever. And if you can like name drop them in the application, that's really helpful. Someone asked, will this PowerPoint presentation be available to us after the webinar? Yes, I think they can send it out to you. Thank you for asking that. I think at the end, we will have time to answer questions. If you have something urgent, I think Ahmed will let me know. Oh, I see the chat. Okay, glad you all can hear me. Put the link in the chat. Yep. Okay, that should work. Yeah, okay, cool. Sorry, it's like hard to navigate all of these things at once. So yeah, so if you can find a specific faculty whose research interests really align with your own, that is great. And if you can talk to them before you apply, all the better. You might also look into the classes that they offer. The like different coursework that you might take. Some programs, like my program, has required classes, but it also has classes that you can choose from. So that's a good thing to show as well. And it's kind of like, it shows that you have done your research, which is really important. It shows that you care about the program. So that is really great. My second tip is to find a unique angle from which to approach your story. So like I said, this is really hard for a lot of reasons. Most of us live this says most of us live boring lives. I don't know, maybe not. It depends how you define boring, I guess. But just like really remembering that you still have unique experiences, and this is basically telling a story. So with your storytelling, you can show who you are as an individual. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to share a tragic story. If you find one relevant, a lot of people who apply to med school, for example, they have had family members who have had medical problems, etc. So you can talk about that, but you don't have to. And we'll talk in just a second about what specifically not to include. So do your best to find a unique angle, and remember that that is about who you are as a person and not in how you're writing the personal statement. It shouldn't be super creative. It needs to be concise. This is my next point, basically. So to choose carefully what to include and where to put it. So the introduction is really important. So you might start with kind of an anecdote, which is like a short story. Remember that these committees are reading so many applications that they might skim. I'm sure none of you have ever skimmed anything you had to read before because you all are excellent students, right? But these people have probably skimmed some essays, especially if they didn't grab them from the beginning. So because of that, it's important to really pay attention to your intro, but also your topic sentences. So the first sentence in each paragraph, just making sure you state your point really clearly so that if they are skimming, they at least can see the main idea of your paper. So you want it to be as readable and accessible as possible so that they can get your ideas quickly. For what to include, we've talked a little bit about this. You might show why you have certain knowledge or how you have certain knowledge of the field that you need. This is especially relevant if, for example, in undergrad, you studied engineering, but now you're applying to med school, or you studied, I don't know, whatever, two different fields, right? If you're completely kind of changing your trajectory, it's important to show that you know what's required of you. And so to say you've read whatever book or you've done a certain class online to supplement your education, and kind of why you made that shift as well. For exclusion, so you want to keep out controversial issues such as religion or politics. Just, unless you're going into political science, I guess, or religion, so unless you're going into those fields, probably don't really talk about them in your personal statement because you don't know who the committee is. Yeah. And then anything you did in high school, you don't want to include. You just want to start from freshman year on. So activities, awards, or experiences in high school or earlier, no. I'm sure you probably did great things in high school, and that's cool, but you don't need to include it. You want to be as current as you possibly can in your personal statement. Number 3 is to pay attention to mechanics of writing, so spelling, grammar, style. The Writing Center does not edit. That's not a service that we provide, but if you have a grammar question, we can help with that, or teach you something about grammar. It's helpful to have multiple people read your personal statement, to proofread it for you. And there's free resources online that will kind of do some grammar checks, like Grammarly, or I like one, I'll put it in the chat, called Pro Writing Aid. Don't pay for it. You can do a free version that is sufficient. and you just paste your document into it and you can click what you want help with. I personally repeat stuff all the time. I have a person on my dissertation committee who will just like circle all the words that I repeated. So this pro writing aid resource helps you find those. Follow the instructions, stick to the word limit, read the directions carefully and follow them. An application that does not follow the basic rules will certainly not impress the committee. Somebody in the Q&A wrote that there's different length requirements. So in order to create an initial personal statement that can be tailored to each school, what is a ballpark length we should aim for when writing? It's really hard to answer that question because they are so different. And like I'm a rare case and I only applied to one graduate school because I was a teacher and I wanted to come to OSU for their program. And if I didn't get in, then I was just going to keep teaching. But there's also people who are going to apply to a lot of grad schools. So instead of saying to write a general personal statement, what I'm going to suggest is that you brainstorm different stories that you can kind of like just put in and paste. We'll get to that in a little bit. So we'll do this like worksheet together that will help you with that. Okay. Avoid cliches, like I said before, proofread, proofread, proofread. For the cliches, so people who go to med school want to help people and they're probably good at science. That's just true. People who apply to grad school in like a humanities department love literature or history or whatever field. So like they know that you wouldn't be applying if you didn't have those feelings. So just try to be more specific and focus on like your qualities and characteristics and stories. Then for proofreading, like I said, have multiple people read your paper. And if you don't do that, it just suggests like a lack of care that you might have as a student. If English is not your first language, you can state that in your personal statement. That's a great thing to include, that you're an English language learner or whatever it is with your experience. Yeah, just be upfront about that. That's cool. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, so these are some like people who are on really really well established or kind of like, I don't know, big deal admissions committees. They were asked like, what advice would you give for personal statements? There's quite a few of these in that document I just shared, but I'm going to highlight 3 of them. So this is from Dr. Daniel R. Alonzo, who is an associate dean for admissions at Cornell. And you're just going to see in these responses that they reiterate a lot of the things I said. So they say, we look for some originality because 9 out of 10 essays leave you with a big yawn. I like science. I like to help people. And that's why I want to be a doctor. This is one that is common, uninteresting, and an unoriginal statement that recounts the applicant's academic pursuits and basically repeats what is elsewhere in the application. So people on a committee will look for something different, something that will pique their interest and provide a unique insight. They might be looking at 5,500 applications over a 4 or 6 month period. So they want to see something really interesting. Daniel says, I would simply say, do it yourself, be careful, edit it, go through as many drafts as necessary, and more important than anything, be yourself. Really show your personality, tell us why you are unique, why we should admit you. The premise is that 9 out of 10 people who apply to med school are very qualified. Don't, under any circumstances, insert handwritten work or an unfinished piece of writing, so make sure you do a professional job. Also, don't try to put in too much information or too many words. Don't submit additional pages or use only 1/20th of the space provided. So if they give you a word length, use that. Going over shows that you don't respect their time and going too far under shows that you just don't have enough to say about yourself. Beth O'Neill, who is the Director of Admissions and Financial Aid from the University of California, Berkeley School of Law. I tried to choose 3 examples from different fields. So this is a law perspective. And she says that they're trying to gauge the potential for a student's success in law school, and they determine that principally on the basis of what the student has done in the past. The personal statement carries the responsibility of presenting the student's life experiences. Applicants make a mistake by doing a lot of speculation about what they're going to do in the future rather than telling us about what they've done in the past. It is our job to speculate, and we are experienced at that. This was something I hadn't thought about before. I had read Beth's perspective, and that's why I was saying earlier, like, you'll state your long-term goal, but you want to talk more about what you've done and where you've been. Applicants also tend to state and not evaluate. They give a recitation of their experience, but no evaluation of what effect that particular experience had on them, no assessment of what certain experiences or honors meant. This is a good one. So like, let's say you won like a super prestigious award at in undergrad for your research maybe, or for whatever. That might be on your, or a scholarship. It might be on your resume, the whatever award, right? In your personal statement, you can talk about that award and what it means and why it was important and how you got it. So you can supplement that by giving them important information that helps like show the significance of that award, because they probably don't know what it is. She says they also fail to explain errors or weaknesses in their background. So even though they might wish to admit a student, sometimes we can't in view of a weakness they hadn't made any effort to explain. Perhaps they haven't told us they were ill on the day they took the LSAT or had an automobile accident on the way. Such things are legitimate reasons for poor performance. We understand that life is tough sometimes, but we need to know what happened, for example, to cause a sudden drop in GPA. Another mistake is that everyone tries to make himself or herself the perfect law school applicant, who of course does not exist and is not nearly as interesting as a real human being. And then she says that between 1 and 5 people read each application. And then finally, I have Lee Cunningham, who is the Director of Admissions and Aid from the University of Chicago Graduate School of Business. And they say that the mistake people make most often is not to look at what the questions are asking. Some people prepare generic statements because they're applying to more than one school, and it is a lot of work to do a personal essay for each school. On the other hand, it detracts when we realize that we're one of 6 schools and the applicant is saying the same thing to each and every school, despite the fact that there are actually critical differences between the kinds of schools they may be applying to. They don't take the time. So basically, this person is reiterating, that you want to be specific. And then they say that a few people will read each essay. So now we're going to go ahead and do a personal statement worksheet. So here's the link here, and I'm going to put it in the chat too. Okay, hopefully that's in the chat. Ahmed, if it's not, if you can copy it. Okay, so this is a great resource that was created by a grad student at OSU in the English department, Nicole Pizarro. And it is a PDF. So if you're on an iPad, you'll be able to write in it, but otherwise you might just want to copy and paste it into a Word doc or just write your notes somewhere else. Matt says that you're not getting what I'm typing in the chat. I did send the link, but it didn't go through. Ahmed, can you paste it? Because I think when you sent it earlier, it worked. I'll show it again on my screen so you can type it since you're not getting it in the chat for some reason. So go.osu.edu/personal statement worksheet. Can someone in the chat let me know if you were able to open it up?
Lisa, let me see if I can write it in a chat box.
Cool, thank you.
It's the first link, right, on that slide?
Yeah, actually, I think I figured out why mine wasn't working. Thanks, Ashley. There you go. Now I think everybody can see it.
Okay, wonderful.
Cool. Okay, so you can click that and open it up. And if you can't type in it, just, write somewhere else or copy and paste into like a Word doc. Cool. Glad you got that. Okay. So this worksheet is to walk us through the brainstorming process for writing a personal statement. So like I said earlier with somebody's question, instead of trying to just draft a standard personal statement, what I recommend is doing this worksheet. And then as you write each individual personal statement, you can refer back to the worksheet and then move stuff from there into that document, if that makes sense. It'll give you more flexibility and freedom. And I think because every requirement is so different, this will help. Okay, so this just kind of talks a little bit about things that I've already said. So if you want to go ahead and read it, you can. But we're going to start at section 3, which says pre-writing activities. So when we think about personal statements, we might think of them with these 3 questions. So who are you? What have you done? And then what do you want to do? So these questions will help you answer, or these exercises will help you answer those questions. So for who are you, this is that really engaging introduction that you are going to write, and it's going to serve as a hook. So you're going to catch the reader's attention. I really like when people start with an anecdote or a story of how they ended up in this place where they are applying to grad school in whatever field. So for example, I think in my personal statement, so like I said, I was a teacher. I taught English in middle and high school, and I am specifically in a program that studies children's and young adult literature. So my anecdote was about how when I was a teacher, I had a classroom bookshelf, and on that bookshelf, I had a bunch of LGBTQ YA books. And what happened was that I had students come into my classroom from other classes, people I didn't even know, and they were like, "Hey, I heard you had these books. Can I read them?" Or they told me "Hey, I've never seen myself represented in a book before. These books are really important to me." And I had students just come and talk to me about personal things. And I was like, wow, the impact of just seriously just putting a book I have on a shelf was really profound. And I was like, this is cool. I want to learn more about how young adult literature and representation is important for youth. And so I wrote that story as my anecdote, and I guess it was engaging because I got into the program. So that's just one example. So here's a little section where you can brainstorm. So you're going to write, how did you end up here? So reflect on events in your life that led you to this moment and this application. You can do bullet point, pictures, whatever. Nobody's going to see this but you. You're just going to be brainstorming. So maybe you had a personal experience with your family growing up. Maybe in college you realized you had a passion for something. Whatever it is, you'll take some time to brainstorm that. In the interest of time, I want to go through this worksheet with you all in whole, and then I want to make sure we have time for questions and answers. So you'll probably have to go back later to fill this out once you're working on your applications. So the second part is, what have you done? This is such a great section. I think it's so good because you can list all of your experiences, and then you can also start brainstorming stories to tell with those experiences. So that's not really prompted here, but I recommend doing it. So write down all of your experiences, but then also, like, if you remember a certain thing that happened to you, write it down so that you can reflect on it later. Because I don't know, sometimes you'll remember something at a random time. You can just jot it down here to come back to. So you might think about all the relevant research experience you have. Have you done or completed any internships? You might also think about jobs that are relevant, awards you've received, your extracurricular activities, and then also, have you had a leadership position in those activities? And yeah, here's your work experience. So you'll have all these listed here, and then I would add some information about, thank you, about, like I said, like a story or an example, because in your personal statement, you don't want to just be like, I'm a great fit for this because I was the president of the pre-med group, and also I did research with Dr. Smith, etc. So make sure that you add those stories. Oh, I haven't talked this long in a long time. Sorry. Okay. And then finally, what do you want to do? So this is the part where you're tailoring it to each school. You want to mention the school in the intro paragraph too, but like, this is where you're going to talk about what you're hoping to research, why this program. This is where you can use the language from their website that I kind of talked to you about. So the prompts on here for the exercises are, you can think about the research that you want to do. Maybe you're not doing a research program as much, like if you're doing med school or law school, kind of like what kind of, oh, sorry, my dog's barking. Kind of what field you want to go into, if you know. This applies to nursing school too, because I was just talking to one of my old students that I taught middle and high school, and she's applying for nursing school. And I was like, well, what kind of nurse do you want to be? And she's like, I don't even know that there's different types, right? If you're still figuring it out, that's cool. And you can write that, because the programs will help you figure out what you want to do, because you have to do like different experiences in different like fields. But if you do know, you can also talk about that. This is a section where you can go to their website and write what jumps out at you about the specific school. Like I said, you can use specific language from them. It's not plagiarism, as long as you're just choosing like phrases. And then this is a little table where you can think about the faculty members who might be beneficial to you. And then finally, you can start making an outline of your personal statement. So if you have a general personal statement that's 500 words, you might come back and choose just a couple of examples from here. Definitely one that shows a challenge you've overcome, I think. If you have one that is 4 pages long, like the one I had to write, you might be talking about multiple of these things, etc. So this will kind of be like your little, almost like resource box. And then as you write each draft, you can kind of go and grab from it. And then, like I said earlier, you can make an appointment at the Writing Center to help develop your ideas further. And I'm going to show you how to do that real quick, and then we'll do questions. So our Writing Center's website is cstw.osu.edu. Put it in the chat. And for the Writing Center, it says make an appointment. So you'll click on that. Like I said, right now we have drop-off appointments, which is where if you have a full draft of your personal statement, you will upload the file to a consultant who will give you feedback. Please also upload any relevant information like the prompt or word length requirements, etc., because that's helpful for us. Or there's live chat, which is where you schedule a specific time and you meet with someone on a video to talk. So you'll click Make a Writing Center appointment. You'll have to register for an account if you don't have one. If you do have an account, then you log in. Then you can choose either drop off or live chat. And then if there is a white box that is an opening, so you can click on it and then you will be able to make an appointment. So let's say I want to drop off my file to Casey at 9 a.m. on October 22nd. I click that, answer these questions, and then upload my file. And then Casey will take the next 24 to 48 hours to read it, and then you'll get it back in your email with comments. Or if you wanted to do a live chat, you could open that box. And let's say live chats get really busy. So you want to meet with Wrong at 2 p.m. on October 24th. You'll make your appointment here, and then you'll get information in your email about how to log in at 2 p.m. that day. All right, so that's how to do the Writing Center. Oops, that's my class presentation. All right, so now I think we have time for questions. I think Ahmed might.
Yeah. Alyssa, is it okay if I share something with our attendees real quick?
Yeah,
Give me just
yeah,
a
please.
moment.
Please do.
Can you unshare yours real
Yeah,
quick?
sorry.
That's okay. So I just want to go over what that looks like on the application real quick. So when you are in the application itself, on the final tab, it's where you would link or attach your personal statement. Oh, goodness. Give me a moment. Let me try to log back in. So Alyssa talked about earlier that what goes into your letter, your personal statement may depend upon program, which program you may be applying to. So the example that I have on here, once I log into this, I chose the chemistry department, and the chemistry department actually has prompts that they want you to answer and cover within your personal statements. And I'll show you what that looks like. And this may vary with whatever program that you are applying to. Some may not have a prompt. And then that's when you will employ some of the things that Alyssa talked about today, as far as what needs to go into your personal statement. But there are some programs that will have you use the prompt in which they provide in the application. Here it is. For example, this is the chemistry PhD program. And as you can see, they want you to follow the prompt here, answer these questions. As a lot of STEM related programs, they want you to talk about your research program. So here they're asking you to take a time to talk about your research in some detail. They also have other questions that they want you to address. All right. So the other thing that I do want to say, you can submit your statement of purpose at the time in which you are submitting your application, but you don't have to. Let's say that you want to take some time, but you want to get your application submitted so that your letters, your recommenders receive a link to complete your letters of recommendation, and that's how our recommendation process works at Ohio State is that once your application is submitted and processed, your recommenders will receive a link. But if you want to take some time with your personal statement, you don't have to submit it at the time in which the application needs to be submitted. What you can do is once you feel comfortable about once the application is submitted and you want to take some time in writing your personal statement, you can use the admission uploader to submit your personal statement. All right, that's all I have. I know that we have a couple of questions on the Q&A. The first one that came in was earlier. I know different schools have different length requirements. In order to create initial personal statement that can be tailored to each school, what is a ballpark length we should aim for when writing?
Yeah, thank you. So this one, to create that initial personal statement, I would just use this, the worksheet, and try to like limit your examples, to like 50 words ish, and then you can go into more detail later if you need to. But just like so that you have like a little bit written for each thing. Just trying to write like 50 words for each part, maybe a little bit longer for like about you or whatever. So that then later you can piece them all together.
Yeah, and some programs like chemistry that gave you the prompt, they will give you a word count.
Yeah,
So
most of
that's
them
also
do.
something. Yeah. Okay. If the school does not require a word count, how much is too much and what should be the minimum?
The minimum I would say is 500 words. I think, and then the maximum would be like 2 pages. So like I would say if they don't give you one, between like 500 and 800 words is okay. They usually
Yeah.
give you one though.
Sorry, I received a question on the chat box. I can definitely link that on the chat box where you can use the admission uploader. Give me just a moment.
Cool.
It's on the graduate and professional admissions website, and I'll put that on the chat box.
It seems really organized. I don't know if they had that when I applied because it's been like
Yeah,
5 years.
the website has been changed and it
Yeah.
is more organized. All right. Could study abroad fall under internships?
Oh, great question. It kind of depends what you were doing during your study abroad, but I think that's a great, even additional category to talk about, especially if what you did is relevant to what you want to study. I never got to study abroad. I'm really jealous if you did.
It's an awesome experience. As the department that I am applying for requires only one page of personal statement, how can I do it in a better way?
Yeah. So if you have like a short limit, one thing is that on that document I shared, not the worksheet, but the other one, the personal statements one, it has examples of personal statements, successful personal statements, on page 3. And some of them are short, some of them are a little bit longer. So you can take a look at those ones. But really, you want to follow that like kind of template of, so then you'll have one paragraph about you and like why you're interested in this field, one paragraph where you might give 1 or 2 stories that show who you are as an applicant, especially I would tailor one of those stories to how you've overcome a challenge. And then the final paragraph about like why the school is a good fit for you and your future goals. So you can just organize it into those 3 paragraphs.
What do you suggest focusing on if program has maximum 500 for the word count?
Yeah, so kind of the same thing there too, right? I think 500 words would be about a page. So just like following that that guideline and then just telling less stories. Whatever ones you think are most interesting. You could even ask a professor that you have or a friend, like, which of these do you think makes me most unique? Yeah. Remember too, this is one part of your application. People get really worked up about the personal statement, and it is really important, but you have a transcript, you have a resume, you have test scores possibly, you have letters of rec, right? So this is just like one facet. So remember that, like, there's other parts of your application as well.
It is a truly a holistic review process. But yeah, you want to have a better foot in, and uh, it is one aspect of your application materials that you need to submit. So if you feel, that that's the only thing that they're gonna gruel on and judge your application based on, that's not the case. That there are other facets of your application that the committee will be looking at. We have another question that came in. If there is a long 2-year research experience after undergrad, should the undergraduate achievement be highlighted in the statement as a story or just mention?
Great question. So you want to talk about the most recent thing first. So kind of like you wouldn't talk about high school. Now you won't talk so much about undergrad. So like when I applied to my PhD after my master's program, I talked about my master's program instead of undergrad. So I would highlight the research experience. And then if there's something really important in undergrad, since it was only a 2-year experience, maybe that's okay. But if you can avoid it, just focus on the most recent thing and they can see your undergrad stuff in your transcripts or your resume. Great question. I think someone asked one in the Q&A.
Yeah. What is the weight of personal statement once it is in the graduate school committee's hand?
It's hard for me to answer that because I don't know for specific programs. It kind of just depends, right? Some
They do
programs,
have a rubric system that some programs use, so they kind of rank some of the application materials. So it really is hard for us to answer that.
yeah. I will say that if it is a writing specific program, like a program where you are going to have to write a lot, like my program is in the humanities, it might weigh more because they also are testing to see if you're a good writer. But if you're going into like engineering, which still requires writing, right, but not as much, or a different type of writing, or something more science-based, they might not be looking at that part as much.
I would definitely reach out to your program, your respective programs, and just kind of get a feel for how the committee reviews each application material that you submit. Some programs may be transparent to share how that rubric system is used. But yeah, if you want to know how that's weighted with your overall application materials, definitely reach out to your respective departments. If there is a page limit, is 11-point size an acceptable font size?
Yeah, and I see the next question too, I think is clarifying.
What is an acceptable font size and margin length for statements that has a page limit instead of a word limit?
Yeah, so I would do 1-inch margins on each side and also 12-point Times New Roman font. That's just kind of standard.
Can you repeat that one more time so I can write that on the chat box?
Yes, 1-inch margins with 12-point Times New Roman. And I don't think you need to double space it. Single space is okay.
Okay. And our last question here, where can I find the personal statement length for chemistry program, or should I just answer the questions? If you go to the chemistry program department website, they may have more details as it regards to how the personal statement should be formatted. You can always reach out to the program coordinators to get that information. Um, but yeah, I think with some of the uh, general margins and fonts that Lisa just shared may be appropriate across the board. If you are not able to get specifics from your respective departments. But I think the most crucial part about it is answering the questions in the prompt that they ask.
Cool.
All right, it looks like we passed time. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to Alyssa. But before we end our session, please remember to attend next week's session called Successful Strategies for Acquiring Strong Letters of Recommendation. That will be next Wednesday at noon. And last reminder, you will see a 1-minute survey pop up on your screen. Please take a moment to fill that out. You have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck with your applications.
Yes, good luck, everyone.